At 77, Billy Crystal finally opened up about a truth that fans of classic comedy had long wondered about: his real relationship with the legendary Don Rickles. For decades, the public saw Rickles as the fearless merchant of venom, the comedian who could roast anyone in the room without hesitation. But according to Crystal, the man behind those savage punchlines was something entirely different. To understand why Crystal's words carry such weight, you have to look at the life that shaped him. Born William Edward Crystal on March 14, 1948, in New York City, he grew up surrounded by music and performers thanks to his father, Jack Crystal, a respected jazz promoter who worked with icons like Billie Holiday and Louis Armstrong. The backstage world of entertainment was familiar to Billy from childhood, but tragedy struck when his father died suddenly while Billy was just 15. That loss left a deep emotional imprint on him and became one of the hidden engines behind his comedy. The reason his humor often carried warmth, empathy, and a quiet longing for connection. After studying film and directing at New York University's Tisch School of the Arts alongside classmates like Martin Scorsese, Crystal began carving his own path into show business. His breakthrough came with the late 1970s sitcom Soap, where he played Jody Dallas, one of the first openly gay characters on American network television. At a time when television rarely handled such representation with dignity, Crystal's performance brought intelligence and humanity to the role, quietly helping shift cultural perceptions. From there, his career exploded. By the 1980s and 1990s, Crystal had become one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, shining in films like When Harry Met Sally, where his portrayal of Harry Burns turned neurotic honesty and romantic vulnerability into comedy gold. Audiences also embraced him in City Slickers, the deeply personal Mr. Saturday Night, and later as the unforgettable voice of Mike Wazowski in Pixar's Monsters, Incorporated, introducing his comedic timing to an entirely new generation. Beyond film, Crystal became synonymous with the Academy Awards, hosting the Oscars 9 times and setting the standard for charm, wit, and effortless showmanship. Off stage, his life remained remarkably grounded. In 1970, he married his high school sweetheart, Janice Goldfinger, beginning one of Hollywood's most enduring marriages. Together they built a family, raised 2 daughters, and spent decades living quietly in Los Angeles. Even when tragedy struck again, such as the devastating Palisades fire in 2025 that destroyed their longtime home, their bond remained unshaken. Yet despite all of Crystal's success, one relationship from his career remained especially meaningful: his friendship with Don Rickles. Crystal first met Rickles when he was a young comedian still trying to prove himself. Rickles was already a towering figure in comedy, famous for mercilessly roasting celebrities, politicians, and anyone brave enough to sit in the front row. "The first time Don went after me, I was terrified," Crystal later admitted. "I thought he hated me." But over time he realized something surprising: if Rickles ignored you, that was the real insult. Being roasted meant you had earned his attention. According to Crystal, Rickles studied people carefully. His jokes were sharp, but they were never meant to truly wound. Behind the stage lights, the brutal comic was actually one of the most loyal and supportive people Crystal had ever known. After tough performances or bad reviews, Rickles would call him privately and offer encouragement, telling him to keep going and reminding him that he had talent. Those quiet moments, far from the spotlight, revealed a man very different from the public image. As the years passed, their friendship deepened, and Crystal watched as age slowly caught up with the unstoppable Rickles. Seeing the once dominant performer struggle with the limitations of growing older was heartbreaking for him. Comedy had always been Rickles's oxygen, and as the stage became harder to command, the loss was visible. Yet even in those moments, the old spark never disappeared. Rickles would still fire off a quick insult, and Crystal would laugh, thinking, "There he is." When Don Rickles passed away in 2017, Crystal felt the loss deeply, not just as a fan of comedy but as a friend who had learned invaluable lessons from him. Rickles had shown him that comedy isn't about cruelty. It's about honesty, connection, and trust between performer and audience. Looking back now, Crystal says the world misunderstood Rickles. The insults were never about tearing people down. They were about inviting them into the joke, trusting that laughter could hold everyone together. For Crystal, that realization became one of the most important lessons of his career. Even after decades in Hollywood, Kennedy Center honors, and standing ovations across generations, he still carries Rickles' voice in the back of his mind every time he steps on stage. And sometimes, he says, it feels like he can still hear the old comic whispering the same advice: "Make it count, kid.